All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Monday edition of the broadcast, November 30th into December the 1st, 2015. Hard to believe we were already through another year, isn't it? 2015 is already behind us. First day of the last month of this year. Wow, it's gone by quick. We hope you all had a nice holiday out there. We got a few news items to cover here tonight. It's some interesting things, as I talked about in our Thanksgiving special broadcast we did. There really hasn't been a lot of material to cover as of late, and I've spent this entire month working on my newest film, The Spellcasters, which is coming along nicely, and we should have it out in about 2 weeks. Or should be done in 2 weeks. It'll take us some time to get discs and all that stuff sent off and made, but at least once it's done, we can get uploads and downloads going, and people can start to see the film, and we can go ahead and get it out there in that fashion first off. So I've just been concentrating all my energy on that, and boy, I'm glad I have, because it's coming along nicely, and it's getting exciting now that we're getting closer to the finish line on this thing. Anyway, we'll get into some various sundry news items for you here on the broadcast tonight, as we always do. TheGlobalReality.com is my website where this broadcast originates from. That is TheGlobalReality.com. So I'm going to be releasing this film, The Spellcasters, and then I'm going to be making a volume 2, which is going to be more primarily focused on music and thing. Pretty much the same theme and continuation. I mean, really, everything that you'll see and learn in volume 1 will still apply as far as what we're trying to show you here with these films. It'll still apply. It'll just be more of the music stuff, whereas volume 1 is more related to Hollywood and the rest of it. But it's all the vein of I can't even tell you much without giving too much away, because I can't really even give you an idea what it's about without having to go into specifics, and I don't want to do that because I want you to see the film. But it's a very thorough, in-depth research effort on my part that I just didn't think the grand. I guess I should have known, but I don't know. It always happens whenever I make any kind of a film that no matter what the subject matter is, it goes back to sort of the same stuff I was already looking at, That's why viewing this film as just, if you think this film's just going to be about, just about Hollywood or whatever, you're kind of mistaken. I mean, that's kind of what it started out, but really it's turned into more of the whole big picture and the wide scope view that pertains to all issues, on every issue that I've ever discussed or talked about in all my years of doing this stuff. It all ties in. Yeah, this is the great thing about making films to me, because everyone making it, just the making of it, is, for me, is an experience. And I learn things and I level up each time I make one as far as my knowledge base. I come out of these things much more knowledgeable than I was going into it. And that's a great thing. And some of the stuff I found that's going to be in not only volume 1, but really a lot in volume 2 as well. There's going to be some things that's going to be coming out in that film that nobody's put together yet. So that one will come out relatively quickly. We'll get this first one done, and then in a few more months, 2 or 3 months or so, I'll come out with volume 2. But my real main goal for this stuff is just for it all to be the catalyst for us to be able to continue our Lost Secrets of Ancient America work and our Rockwell work and all the rest of that stuff. None of that stuff is stopped or anything else, but I find from time to time when you do, I was putting so much energy into that, I needed to step away from it and go to some of these other topics that I've been wanting to do stuff on. But all that stuff is still very much at the forefront of what I'm trying to do. I'm still trying to put together a dig for next year, as well as the rest of what I need to complete, the Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 3. So that's really what we're looking at here for the rest of this year and into 2016. So we hope you'll continue to help us get this important work done. But right now, right here, today, in this moment, we've got less than 15 hours left to cover our operating costs. We've reached $245 of our $900 goal. That means, let's see. That means we have about 6 slots. We've had 2 people come in so far at the $100 level. We put an offer out on the Thanksgiving show. If you didn't hear that, I'll repeat it here. Everybody who donates a minimum of $100 to this November 2015 operating costs, and time is running out. We need to reach our entire goal. So we raised $245. Okay, so yeah, roughly 6 slots. So yeah, we'll say 6. So we have 6 slots left for people that want to contribute $100. And everyone who contributes a minimum of $100, if you contribute more, you'll get it as well. But everybody who contributes $100 or more in the next, what time is it now? We'll say in the next 15 hours or so, but sometime before the end of the day on Tuesday. We'll say anytime by midnight on Tuesday, if you contribute $100, you will be sent a download of my new film, The Spellcasters, upon its completion, before it goes on sale to the public. So you will be the very first people to get to see it before anybody else. This is not an offer we've done yet. We're only offering it right now so we can cover our operating costs. We just need 6 people. We have 2 already. Thank you to those 2 gentlemen who've pitched in so far. And hey, 6 more people. Also, you can also, if you want to do more than 100, that would help. We don't have anybody right now who's in the running for our grand prize of the month. Whoever contributes the most this month will receive a prize worth the identical amount of their contribution. So if you contribute 300, you'll get a prize worth 300, 500, prize worth 500, whatever. And for our grand prize, and it's going to be a super prize this month, so you definitely want to get in the running for that. And you'll also get, of course, the download when the film's done before anybody else as well. So definitely get in on this and support our work at the same time. I'll also get you hooked up with some free archive memberships as well for the $100 donation. Just gotta have to shoot me an email. Let me know what email address you want to have that put under. I've got some of you out there. I haven't gotten signed up yet, but we were having problems with the server for the archives a lot over the past few weeks. Not only that, but it's been torrential, nonstop, like great fucking deluge rain here in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex where I live, and my goodness. I mean, sometimes we'll just get, a decent rain, and it can be enough to slow down the internet. But man, over the holidays, it was terrible. And that sucks, It's like not only is it fucking raining nonstop, morning, noon, and night. You can't. It's flooding. Sucks to get out in it. You're taking your life in your own hands, especially these fucking morons. The way they drive in this metroplex. And then on top of that, your internet starts working shitty because the lines, cable lines, suddenly get waterlogged and they start to run fucking slow. And then, of course, it's the holidays, so you've got everybody's off work. So everybody and their fucking mother's cousin's dog's best friends that saw Ferris pass out 31 Flavors last night's fucking streaming Netflix and everything else. So, it's double slow. So we've had problems getting inputting people's names in there for the free accounts because it just does this wacky thing. I don't even want to get into it, but their whole system it's just fucked up. And I pay a good amount for that service every month for those members archives, and boy, it works for shit a lot of times. But anyway, so yeah, contribute $100. We need to reach 100% of our goal. We're past the point of no return here. We don't have any time left. Like I said, I've been working this whole month trying to get this film done, and I understand, it's just something I have to deal with every time, and I'm over complaining and bitching about it, but it's just a fact of life. If I take time off from doing shows like I have to work on a film, which is just something I have to do every time something has to go, otherwise one or the other is not gonna, see its fullest potential. So I always have to make the sacrifice of not doing as many shows whenever I'm working on a film. But then in turn, if you're not, one thing I've learned after doing this for almost 10 years, you have to stay doing it all the time, because even if you take some time off for whatever reason, death in the family, which has happened to me a lot over the past 5 years. I've had, I don't know, a couple of deaths a year in the family every year for the past 5 years. And so that's, required me to, including my dad, my uncle, and, all my grandparents, and just tons of people. So it's, you have to take time off for that stuff. And, sometimes you lose people, sometimes you lose supporters, and people fall off, and that thing happens, they don't, so it just seems odd that people can't find their way back, So we're just down to the wire here, as we always are, but, especially more this month, just because, we didn't have a lot of shows this month at all. And granted, a lot of the time there wasn't a lot of stuff to cover anyway. But I think, I really think it's all worked out. It's going to work out. I have faith that everybody out there will contribute and help us reach our goal here. Like I said, at the time I'm recording this show, we have 15 hours left. It may be less than that by the time you get it. But really, we just need to by the end of the day on Tuesday. And don't think that any amount that you can contribute, if you can't do 100 or whatever, don't think that any amount you can contribute isn't needed. It is. And if everybody contributed a small amount, then it, wouldn't be that big of a deal. But anyway, we need 6 slots. We have 6 slots left. If you want to be one of the lucky 8 people that will get to see my new film, The Spellcasters, before anybody else, then yeah, contribute $100 and get in on that action, or contribute. Hey, if somebody contribute 300, 200 or 300 at this point would probably win the grand prize, maybe 300. So keep that in mind too. I want to see somebody get this grand prize this month. So again, go to my website, theglobalreality.com. The November operating costs banner is on the right-hand side of the page. If it's already expired or whatever, or if you don't want to use PayPal, go down to the scroll down on my website on the right-hand side of the page. There's a yellow donate button there for PayPal. You can click on that, and that'll allow you don't have to use a PayPal account with that. It'll allow you to use a credit card, debit card, or prepaid card or whatever. And you can put the amount you want in there, and it'll come out of your card. And all the all the perks and all the offers and all that will still apply even if you don't contribute through the Go Get Funding, campaign banner thing there. I had a lady last night that wanted to contribute $20 and didn't know if she should use the operating cost thing or the donate button. And I just wanted to make that clear to everybody that it doesn't matter which one you use. The same perks and everything and the offers will still apply. We just have both those options because the campaign page thing is specifically PayPal, and that's what we prefer. But it still goes into our PayPal account if you use the donate button there. It just allows you to use a card, whereas the campaign thing doesn't. So, we also want to let you know, we've got some Cyber Monday deals going on in our Etsy shop, our Let There Be Rocks Etsy shop. You can find links to that up on our Global Reality Facebook page. These Cyber Monday deals, I think, continue. I think they expire at like midnight or so tomorrow night. So if you get in before then, you can get these deals. 30% off any item or order of $75 or more. That's 30% off any item or order of $75 or more. And the code for that is Cyber Monday 1. Cyber Monday number 1, not the word 1. Cyber Monday 1, all one word. That'll get you 30% off any item or order, $75 or more. And with the code Cyber Monday 2, and again, the number, not the word. With the code Cyber Monday 2, you'll get you 20% off any item or order in the store with no minimum purchase required. And as a bonus, if you check out with PayPal and not with a credit card, which takes it longer for us to get to it, and it's just we prefer the PayPal, you will also, with your order, receive a free black tourmaline specimen and a free pendant chosen at random by me. And that's a great deal, especially if you place an order with a 30% off $75 or 20% off coupon, whatever it may be. Because the black tourmaline specimen that you'll get, those are great to keep in your pocket or at your desk, anything like that, or even having a ring or a pendant that stuff blocks out electromagnetic radiation and stuff that's put out by computers, cell phones, all that. So it's one I highly suggest. I keep it all over the place around electronics and behind my desk and stuff. Keep all tourmaline will do that, but specifically the black stuff blocks that out. Anyway, Let There Be Rocks. It's etsy.com/shop/Let There Be Rocks. All one word. You can also find links up at our Global Reality Facebook page. That also will help support our work. And let's say you go in our Etsy shop and you spend $100. You're gonna if you do it in the next 15 hours or whatever, before the end of the day on Tuesday, if you do one of our Cyber Monday deals, you will also get the advanced download of my film, The Spellcasters, when it's done in here in a few weeks. So those same deals will apply. So if you go into my Etsy shop and you spend $300 or $400 or $500 or whatever, that will also put you in the running for the grand prize as well, and you'll get all the other same perks. But here's the caveat, here's the deal. If you do that and you want it to apply towards those things like the free film download and the running for the big grand prize and all that, you've got to email me and let me know that you made a purchase and you want it to go towards that. Otherwise, I might think you're just another customer coming in from Etsy or something and wouldn't know to give you that special deal. So there you go. Again, we're just flat out of time, and we've got to reach our goal here, folks, and get our operating costs covered. And then, we're going to be we'll be smooth sailing after that. If we just get these operating costs covered, and I'll be able to get that film out, and then we'll have some. I say we will, and we should, I believe, start having some at least some more revenue coming in from downloads of the film and stuff once that's out. So, but we just, like I said, we're so close. I've got two weeks or so, give or take. Maybe sooner than that, maybe a few days after that. It's just hard to say. It's at that hard to say moment right now. It's when you get this at this stage in a film. Sometimes things don't take as long as you think they're going to take, and other times they take longer than you think they were going to take. So I've learned not to get frustrated and just roll with it, and it definitely comes through. I look back at some of the films I've done that I rushed on, and I was like, I should have taken my time and made it better. And then I look at the films that I did take my time on, like Lost Secrets 1, and I see the definite shift in quality. That makes me understand that, yeah, it's best not to try and rush these things out. And I really, with this one, am trying to be sure that the information, there's so much information, and it's all so vital. And I want to make sure that people are getting the whole grand scope picture of what I'm trying to present with this and why it's important, instead of it just blowing by you like a bunch of random facts. So that's something I'm really trying to work on with this film and make sure that I've got in there, so that when you watch it, it's not just, facts and tidbits and info flying at you a million miles an hour. You're actually able to grasp it and understand why it's important in this grand scope picture, because every piece of this is vital to the other. So any section that you're watching in this film, it may not, you may think, wow, what does this have to do with this subject or that or whatever? Well, once you see it all, then you're okay. You understand that it's all a part of the wide scope story that we're informing you of here. It's going to be a fantastic film. But anyway, theglobalreality.com is our website. Please go there and help us reach 100% of our goal. Time is up, and we need everybody out there that can contribute right now to do so. All right, let's get into the news here tonight. War, more than ISIS, is destroying Syria's ancient sites. Ancient sites in contested areas are more vulnerable to looting and destruction than those in ISIS-controlled territory. Well, how long have I been telling you this? They want us to believe it's just random terrorists and random looters that have been destroying these ancient sites, and not governments themselves and entities like the State of Israel. This is from National Geographic. Videos of Islamic State militants shattering ancient statues and blowing up classical temples have shocked the world, but according to a new analysis of satellite images by U.S. archaeologists, these high-profile acts obscure the actual extent of damage to Syria's rich cultural heritage. The team examined images of 1,450 ancient sites across the shattered nation and found that 1 in 4 has been damaged or looted in the civil war that began in 2011. More than half of those sites are in rebel-controlled areas, followed by those dominated by Kurdish forces. Damage at sites claimed by the Islamic State, also known as ISIS or ISIL, accounts for a quarter of the destruction, with the remainder in areas loyal to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. It is quite evident that overall incidents of looting are much higher in Kurdish areas and opposition-held areas than in either Syrian regime or ISIL areas, said Jesse Kanasa, a Dartmouth University archaeologist who was leading the analysis. So of course we're being told, it's ISIS or it's Al Qaeda or it's these guys who are destroying all these ancient sites, when in reality it's the airstrikes and everything else, just like back in Iraq in 2003 when they were ordering base camps set up on top of ancient Assyrian and Babylonian temples, and they were destroying clay tablets and just grinding them up to build camps and everything else. It's the same thing with, now with what's going on in Syria with Russia. Numerous reports claim that Russia has dropped deadly white phosphorus on civilians in northwest Syria as its intensive bombing campaign against ISIS continues. And there's pictures of this, and there's clearly that's what it is. It's white phosphorus. The chemical weapon is banned under the Geneva Convention because it is highly toxic and can burn through flesh and bone. It's nasty stuff, man. White phosphorus, an incendiary also known as WP, is used by armies to illuminate targets during the night or as a smoke screen during the day. Shocking images posted to Twitter show the sky allegedly filled with potentially deadly weapon as it rains down on the de facto capital of ISIS. But while Raqqa may be an ISIS stronghold, activists on the ground claim that civilians were caught up in the airstrike, which was described as a war crime. Human rights organizations have claimed that Russian airstrikes have killed more civilians than ISIS fighters themselves. Again, all a part of the plan. They're killing more civilians than ISIS supposedly has, and again, they're destroying more ancient sites than ISIS has. Because it's them who are actually doing this. The pretext for them to be able to destroy these sites and to kill these people is to have their scapegoat to blame it on. They got to have their Patsy and their Oswald, as they always do. Meanwhile, we know who's really behind this stuff. These people haven't changed their tactics, folks, in decades. It's the same old shit from these people. Set up a Patsy, set up a fall guy, set up somebody you can pin the blame on, and then go about and do business as usual and do it yourself and just have somebody else to blame it on and someone to be able to sell the narrative to with the public. More things change, the more they stay the same. That was in a Rush song. Circumstances, yeah. Goddamn right. Ancient underground city in Cappadocia will rewrite history. Not as much as the one I've got sitting in my backyard. Well, not literally. I don't live in Rockwall, but you know what I mean. It's this whole area of North Texas. This is cool. This is old, but man, this isn't pre-flood old. At least I don't think it is. An underground city found in Turkey's touristic Cappadocia will rewrite the history of the city, according to the mayor in the central Anatolian Nevşehir province, adding that they have discovered people had permanently lived in the underground city, unlike other cities, which were mostly carved into rocks for temporary protection. Hasan Unvar, the mayor of Nevşehir, where Cappadocia is located, said the new findings of the ancient underground city in the province would rewrite history. When the works are finalized, the history of Cappadocia will be rewritten, said Unver, adding that the findings found during the excavations date back as far as the Hittite era. Now, the Hittites, very important in the understanding of these demigod groups of people that spawned off from the original colonizing Anunnakis. We have reached significant discoveries, new long tunnels and spaces where people lived all together, places where linseed oil was produced, chapels and tunnels combining various living spaces in the underground city were found. You know, there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of people, a lot of stories relating to some of these underground cities. There seems to be a large amount of them in that area in Turkey and, you know, Göbekli Tepe and all that stuff. But one of the speculations, especially considering that when these date back to this era of like the Hittites, you're talking about an era of time back when, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, real, actual giants were still roaming the earth. And so, with a lot of the stories that, like I covered in Lost Secrets of Ancient America, Volume 1, a lot of these, well, specifically the black-haired, dark-haired giants, were said to be cannibalistic, and there were rumors that some of the rooms that were found at the rock wall were constructed as if the inhabitants were hiding from someone. And that definitely looks like the case when you see, and there have been these types of cities found, you know, all over the planet, but when you see these type of underground inhabitants where they say specifically, you know, this was not intended for part-time residency, this was intended for full-time, they lived here all the time. So there's all sorts of stories going back thousands of years about cannibalistic giants and giants that ate humans, and of course that's where the stuff like Jack and the Beanstalk comes from. So when you see it being dated to that, you know, Amorite, Hittite, Phoenician sort of era, where we know from the stories and whatnot, you know, there were still giants that roamed the earth at that time. It does make you wonder, and certainly I think makes the case for these underground cities being there, so that people could live and dwell without being fear of being eaten. There was a tunnel that was found that supposedly runs from this rock-lined temple chamber that lies underground where the old Rockwall Courthouse is. There was an underground tunnel that was found that ran all the way down to the banks of the Trinity River, which from that spot is probably about, gosh, I'd say it's probably at least a mile, maybe a mile and a half. And what that showed is that somebody was trying to make it to the closest fresh water source at that time, and to make it there and make it back without being seen by somebody, whatever reason. So, and again, when these all seem to be cities that are very, very old and fall into a very, very specific time dating, that's when we start to see, okay, you know, clearly that's what these dwellings were made for. They were clearly made for people who were hiding in fear of something that was on the surface. Another earthquake hits Oklahoma. Officials worry stronger quake could threaten national security. It's terrible, and we feel even down here where I live in North Texas. I mean, we're only like an hour or so maybe from the Oklahoma border, so we feel a lot of these down here. There's a lot of fracking going on here, but not as much as has gone on in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's really just turned into the biggest fracking state there is. It's just unbelievable. I think a big crater is just going to open up in the middle of Oklahoma eventually, and it's going to be like the olden days. That's how it was used to be before. People don't really understand this, but before like 1920, because Oklahoma came into the Union very late, like 1920s, 1930s, and prior to that, Oklahoma was basically like a big crater in the middle of the country because you couldn't pass through it. If you went to another state, you had to go completely around it. It was no man's land. It was all you couldn't even get to. It was off limits. I mean, it was literally still, the old wild Indian West up until the early part of the 20th century, not all that long ago. And it's funny that it was the last one to go. And yeah, I've seen these similarities. I don't think it's a coincidence that after the flood, when humanity first started reappearing on the surface of the earth, I don't think it's a coincidence that they started appearing in the places where, one of the world's most important resources would be found, and people who would be in control of those lands would basically run the earth forever. You look at the Sumerian civilization popping up right there in Iraq, which would become the focus so many years later. And I've seen this time and again. I mean, there's ancient sites scattered all across the United States. This is something I discovered as a result of my Lost Secrets work, being on the road and going to these sites, is that from Colorado to Utah, Arizona to Mexico, everywhere there's ancient sites. A lot of these sites are now in danger. Chaco Canyon, that's one that comes to mind. Mesa Verde, Colorado. Every one of these sites they have found subsequently, and again, supposedly coincidentally, huge amounts of resources, be it natural gas or oil, always located specifically around these ancient sites. The Serpent Mountain, Ohio, chock full of iridium below it. I mean, there's enough iridium underneath the Serpent Mountain to make, 1 million space-based weapons and supercomputers and, whatever else. And I've just found that time and time again. Everywhere there's ancient sites, down there at Llano, Texas, at Lake Buchanan, where I've, beyond any shadow of a doubt, found the location of the quarry of the Rockwall stones. And, the world's largest cache of rare earth metals just happens to be found there. So anywhere there are an abundance of ancient sites and stuff, there are abundance of resources around these, like the ancients that arrived there knew about those resources ahead of time. But there's this whole fracking thing's not going to end well. And again, you start to understand when you look at the companies like Halliburton and whatever else that are producing a lot of these fracking fluids and whatnot. They want this to happen. They'll get the no-bid contracts to come in and clean everything up after the chaos ensues. So they have a vested interest in disasters happening as a result of their activities. I mean, hell, back during when a few years ago when the big Gulf oil spill happened, there was a deal. Halliburton acquired this big, or not Halliburton, but was it BP? Rather, BP had acquired this or sold. I remember they had a deal essentially with the company that would clean all this stuff up. They made a huge multi-million-dollar deal with them just a few months earlier. And then boom, the spill happens, and it's a profit boon for them. So these guys love creating negative situations that they end up capitalize on in the end. All their buddies get in there, and everybody gets a piece of the action, and it's more money for their big evil machine. Hacking the brain, restoring lost abilities with the latest neurotechnologies. A few weeks ago, I wrote about Ray Kurzweil's wild prediction that in the 2030s, nanobots will connect our brains to the cloud, merging biology with the digital world. Let's talk about what's happening today. Over the past few decades, billions of dollars have been poured into 3 areas of research: neuroprosthetics, brain-computer interfaces, and optogenetics. All 3 areas of research are already transforming humanity and solving many of the problems that seem to have stumped our natural evolutionary processes. This post is about the latest developments in these fields, from the most exciting applications today to the most game-changing applications of the future. So this is slick. So this started out as a Huffington Post article that let me read about the first 2 sentences, and then said to read the rest, you click here. And when I clicked there, it took me to singularityhub.com, which of course is the main website for the Ray Kurzweil types and the people who are openly ushering in transhumanism and merging of humans with machines. And this is that's interesting. So Huffington Post is in bed with the transhumanists. Now I should have known. I started to suspect. I had seen quite a few transhumanist articles from the Huffington Post. But this was the ultimate in clickbait. They didn't even bother even giving you. Well, they kind of lure you in because it makes you think it's going to talk about something interesting. And then when you click on and you go to the actual article, you understand, I'm not going to sit here and read this because I'm not going to give these motherfuckers any free press. But really, the long and the short of it is, it starts out thinking that it's going to be talking about, hacking the brain and the rest of this, but it ultimately ends up being nothing but a advertisement for Ray Kurzweil and his transhumanist ideas and why you should want it to be possible and all the rest of it. Just trying to sell you on it. And that's one of the scariest things, because that's when this stuff is real and it's here now. Because up until this decade, they've been focusing all the energy on creating the technology. Well, the technology's here now. And what's not here will be here very soon, and everything else is in place to make it happen. So the focus is not on how to create this technology anymore. The focus is now shifted, and they're in PR mode. Now the focus is, how do we sell this to the public? How do we make them believe that this stuff is good? So that's what they're doing now. They could have already rolled this stuff out right now if they wanted to, but they're taking their time because there's huge implications for it. The scales will be tipped so far in one direction if they roll this stuff out quickly that it'll destabilize the entire planet. And the powers that be aren't going to have that, because they've got just as much invested in this stuff as anybody. So this is why they're in PR mode. They're trying to ease people into this. And I'm just worried for what they're going to, what other plagues besides cancer and everything else that they've unleashed on us, what else are they going to unleash on us to justify the need for humans to merge with machines? There's going to be more. We're not going to see the end of this. all the pandemics and the bird flus and all that stuff, I think all that has been a warming up of, them unleashing things that wipe out a whole lot of people so that then the public will willfully acquiesce to merging their immortal soul with a machine that basically will keep you and your soul enslaved indefinitely. And I don't care what you believe religiously or not religiously or whatever else, that's the ultimate evil. And like it or not, or believe it or not, it's not fantasy anymore, it's reality, and that's what we're up against. Uh-oh. Robots are learning to disobey humans. Humanoid machine says no to instructions if it thinks it might be heard. Well, it's got a little... Oh, come on. You motherfuckers didn't watch 2001: A Space Odyssey? I mean, really? Come on. Again, if we get wiped out by machines and robots or whatever else, it'll only be because somebody wanted it to happen that way. The whole thing of, it was just the robot that did it. Bullshit. Come on. We've been watching this stuff in movies for 50 fucking years now. Surely we've learned by now to put fail-safes in these things. So I'm not buying that for a second. Any sort of killer robot attack will happen because somebody programmed to be that. And then they'll just say, yeah, we're sorry, the robot's got out of control. I mean, it's a perfect scapegoat. It's like the Oswald of the future, I really think that's what it's going to be, man. They're going to start, instead of using human patsies, they'll have robot patsies. Oh, the killer robots got out of control and killed 50 million people. Oops. How could we have predicted that the technology would do that? Well, we'll have to make sure it doesn't do that again in the future. Meanwhile, 50 million people are dead from killer robot attack. Now, if it happens, it's because somebody wanted it to happen. If Hollywood ever had a lesson for scientists, it is what happens if machines start to rebel against their human creators. Yet despite this, roboticists have started to teach their own creations to say no to human orders. Now, again, right there. They taught this thing to say no to human orders. It didn't on its own become artificially intelligent and say, no, I'm going to defy a human. No. It was programmed to do that. So again, that's my point right there. It sounds silly, but robot patsies, I'm telling you. That's going to be the future. Because then they can just get these things to do whatever they want and just blame it on, it was misprogrammed or blah, blah, blah. Plausible deniability. That's what the elite always love in every situation. They have programmed a diminutive pair of humanoid robots called Schaefer and Dempster to disobey instructions from humans if it puts their own safety at risk. Again, this is counterintuitive to everything we've ever been told about robots, isn't it? But again, proves my point. Any killer robots will be because somebody programmed to be that way. Not gonna fucking fool me, assholes. Bringing back people from the dead using artificial intelligence. Starting to see the theme here, folks. Humai plans to wire brains of the deceased to personality chips. Many companies, including Google, are working on ways to extend our lives by tens, if not hundreds of years, but Humai wants to turn this idea on its head. Rather than making us live longer, the Los Angeles firm wants to bring people back from the dead using artificial intelligence. The details about the technology are scarce, and it's not entirely clear whether it's a hoax or not. But the plans would involve freezing a person's brain before fitting it with a personality chip. Founder Josh Bocanegra has assured his critics that he is serious about human resurrection and believes it could even be possible within the next 30 years. According to the Humai website, the company is an AI company with a mission to reinvent the afterlife. We want to bring you back to life after you die. Now, this is some fucking Vanilla Sky shit, isn't it? And he explained that it plans to use artificial intelligence and nanotechnology to store data of conversational styles, behavioral patterns, thought processes, and information about how a person's body functions from inside out. This data would then be coded into multiple sensor technologies, which would be built into an artificial body with the brain of a deceased human. Plus, as the brain matures, the company said it would use cloning nanotechnology to restore it and bring it back to life. It is not known how much the process would cost or how the brains would be obtained, but Mr. Bocanegra told Australian Pop Science that after death will freeze the brain using cryonics technology. When the technology is fully developed, we'll implant the brain into an artificial body. Yeah, they've been working towards this for years, but again, you're starting to hear about it more and more now. As I said before, all this stuff is not the science fiction of tomorrow. It's the reality of today now. So they've got to start acclimating the public into supporting this stuff. That's just all there is to it. There may be believers and skeptics alike, but there's no denying something peculiar was spotted falling out of the sky in Texas. The 2-minute clip shows lights glimmering on and off and getting closer to Earth, captured by a father and son. The footage has been dubbed UFO sighting on YouTube, has been viewed more than 2,000 times. Ooh, 2,000. It's probably just some dead old Chinese lanterns again. Yeah, some Chinese lanterns and them swamp gassers got together. And, yeah, that's what it was, swamp gas lanterns. I've seen these kind of things before. They move around and they're like white orbs, and they move around and they morph into each other. It's crazy stuff. A lot of times you see those around chemtrails and that kind of stuff, and spraying is going on. Really don't see them independently of that too much. Well, I think that about does it for our news, folks. So we're going to leave it there tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, folks, we've got to reach our goal. I got to get back to working on this film. I'm exhausted right now, but I just don't want to be stressing, not able to cover our operating costs, because then all this hard work I've been putting in this film will just be down the drain. So again, go to theglobalreality.com, make your contribution, big or small. We'd like to have somebody win the big grand prize as well. So whatever the max is you can give the max. I'm Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and hopefully we get everything paid. We'll be back with you here tomorrow night. You guys take care.